Getting in with that.
Hi guys.
We're just
What is it, Tuesday? Happy Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Mm,
$2 Tuesday.
all right. If you're just,
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
yeah, we're just giving people a little more time in the room.
If y'all can share this live, invite your friends. We're gonna have a really good conversation today. Part two of our 5-part series.
Mm-hmm.
Not just about plants. So invite your friends. This is a holistic journey. Self-care, mindfulness, meditation, all of that. Just overall being a better you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm gonna send it to a few people who I know said would come.
Yeah, I just sent it to a couple people too. I guess we can, since it's 7:05, you want to at least get started with intros for people who may be new, not have seen part one, who we are, what we're doing.
Yeah, sure, we can. All right, so I'll introduce myself. My name's Dee, full name Deronda. I am the founder and CEO of Melanin Planted. And you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name is Misha. My Instagram is Pieces of Mish. People call me Misha or Mish. And I am a mindfulness enthusiast. And I enjoy talking about mindfulness and being mindful, meditating, and all of those things. And I like to do that journey on social media and also just my as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing, we're collabing on it's a holistic journey overall. So I have the whole plant aspect. Misha, she's a mindfulness instructor. So we're pretty much comparing the life cycle of plants and how it relates to humans, how you can incorporate um, just the growth of a plant and how you're growing as an individual to overall, be successful and be a healthy plant or human. But last month, we spoke about planting seeds. That was the first part of the series, and today's part two. It's checking your roots or the germination stage. So for those who aren't familiar, I'll give you a little background of like germination for the plant life cycle. So in stage two of the plant life cycle, seeds need 4 things to grow. They need oxygen, they need moisture, they need sunlight, and they need to be in the right temperature, right? When those proper conditions are met for the seed, it'll begin to sprout. The roots push their way through the seed, coating and begin growing into the soil. This process is called germination. So now that you've planted your seeds, and although you're not really able to see the growth, you know that roots are growing or they should be growing. Um, how do you begin your growth process?
Oh, you're asking me. So how do I begin my growth process? I would say for me, I'm definitely in my growth process right now. Last time we talked a lot about when we talked about planting seeds, I talked a lot about my career. And I didn't share this last time, but in February, I actually resigned from my full time job in order to pursue opportunities that I feel more aligned. And so I'm in the middle of that growth process right now. But what I did to prepare for that was I looked at it and saw if it was realistic. Is it realistic for me to 9 to 5 right now? No, it wasn't realistic, but I had to honor how I felt, and I knew that I wasn't feeling nourished from working full time or giving someone 40 hours a week when I didn't feel directly aligned with what I was doing. So for me, I start my growth process by planning what I'm going to do in the meantime because I knew I wasn't going to just leave my job and pop up with something new the next day. I knew there was going to be a period of just waiting, but time where I had to really work on myself. So I planned what would my morning routine look like? What time am I going to be waking up? When am I actually going to start working part-time? Because I do still work part-time. So I really started my growth process by just that's the most important part for me is knowing what's ahead, not controlling it, but being prepared for whatever may come up. What about the growth process look like?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. So right now, I'm reestablishing my process. I'm unlearning a lot of, I wouldn't say bad habits, but old behaviors, old thinking processes. Even with like starting a business last year, like 2021, um, Melanin Planet was, freshly launched, and I didn't know that much about like starting a business or,
Mhm.
um, just tools or the systems that I would need. So now, 2022, I have a lot more experience and a lot more resources, and I'm just it's wild because what I thought I needed as a business owner or founder,
Mhm.
um, isn't really what I actually need. Like, I need to organize myself. I need to set a schedule, a plan every day, and I need to take breaks. I can't work 24/7. I need vacations. Just planning, more planning and executing,
Mhm.
and knowing when to take those breaks because it can be overwhelming. There could be burnout, and also implementing a system and a team of people to assist with this entire business. So that's what I'm beginning to do at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, just to make sure that like I'm off to a good start, individually, and then as I grow the business and
Mhm.
other businesses.
I'm so glad you brought up breaks and rest because I feel like that's something a lot of people our age, for sure, millennials don't, we're not used to, you know, especially for me, taking a break feels like I'm not being productive. And that's in this root stage, that's one of the things that I had to unlearn is that it is okay for me to rest. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay for me to take a break. It's okay for me not to be productive every single day. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I've been doing in this process of preparing, while I'm preparing, but also making sure that I'm taking time to rest and rejuvenate and be prepared for what is next.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Taking breaks is essential. I last week actually drove down to Atlanta, drove to Charlotte, then Atlanta. So I needed a break. Like, yeah, I work remotely, but like I needed a break to just like not even look at any like my computer, not looking at like emails. I'm just I'm living. I'm not thinking about those kinds of things. I need a break. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you keep going, going and going, you're going to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Like, are you gonna plant new seeds? Are you even gonna have the energy to plant new seeds? Are your seeds gonna sprout?
Right.
You're burnt. You're done.
Yeah. So I guess speaking of that, you said, are your seeds going to even sprout? So how do you know if your roots are healthy for your seeds to even begin to sprout?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me think. As far as like just overall health, not just like physical health, but like mental, spiritual, I always feel like the energy or the vibe, I guess you would say, on a situation. So if I'm around certain people or in certain places, well, I know it's not a healthy situation, but like, I'm there because whatever it might be lit or whatever the situation is, or this person is someone I've known for a while, but I know that I have to remove myself because it's unhealthy. That's something that like I feel like I have an issue with
Mm-hmm.
because again it's an old habit. So I'm trying to break these old habits and make sure I have these strong roots so that way I can grow um, individually and as a business. But as far as identifying it, it's more so a feeling for me inside. Like internally, I feel like this is not aligned with what I'm my goals and what I want to do with life. So why am I here in this place or why am I around these people if
Mm-hmm.
it's not aligned with where I want to be?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So just like Seminole Star, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, that it's a feeling and it's definitely what you were saying, like if you don't feel aligned, that's not where your roots are, you're supposed to be, or where your roots are healthiest. So I agree.
It
Um,
is that you just know. Yeah.
yeah, I would say it's probably the same for me. It's a feeling, but it's also it can be physical for me too when I know my roots are not healthy. And that could be my physical environment or the people I surround myself with. But in knowing myself and growing in self awareness, stress and stress for me shows up physically. So
Yeah.
when my roots are not healthy or when I'm in unhealthy situations, I tend to stress eat or my face to break out very bad. So I think for me, that's definitely how I identify my roots for sure. When my roots are not healthy.
Right.
Hmm.
Um, okay. All right. So next question. Roots hold the plant tightly underground from keeping the soil from being washed away. How do you determine which relationships feed your soil? And this is just to piggyback off of kind of the last question.
Hmm. Hmm. Ooh, that's a good question. Which relationships feed my soil? Um, I would say for me, like if a relationship is if I just feel good, and I don't know, it's hard. Like it's a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but I think for me, relationships that feed my soil allow me to be me or accept me
Mm-hmm.
for who I am. Not to say that there's like not to say that everything about me is great. There's still I'm working on. Still working through ego. Which all of us are. But I would say relationships that allow me to show up as Misha authentically or relationships that I know are nourishing because I continue to grow. So when I'm with my friends, my best friends, I've never stopped growing. We've been best friends since we were 15 and know that those relationships are nourishing because we've all grown from 15 to our 30. Whereas if I meet someone and there's no growth in our relationships or myself, then I know that's not a relationship that's very nourishing. And it's not to say that I throw that person to the side, but we can have a conversation or how can, what is going on in our connection that's not aligning, promoting growth. Because for me, if a relationship isn't growing, then it's not, I want to say it's not beneficial, but if it's not growing, then it's taking up space. And
Yeah.
my roots need they need room to grow. And they can't just get stuck, hitting the side of the pot. Because if a plant is growing too much, if the roots are growing too big, you get potted into
Right.
you know. So I just want to make sure that those relationships that nourish me promote growth. So that's definitely how I identify what relationship soil. What about you?
Yeah. I would say like I have close friends also who we've been friends for quite a while and I can see how much we've grown. Um there has been like some friendships though that I had to get rid of because it's like again, if we're not all growing, even though, everybody doesn't grow at the same pace, but if you're not growing at all, then at that point you're feeding off of my energy. Like it's and I I wish you well, but we can't continue because it's not a mutual beneficial relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're there stagnant, we're growing. And then also I don't want like this might be a projection, but someone to be envious because of the growth, like okay, well, they're growing and
Mm-hmm.
because there's frenemies.
That's very true.
Frenemies is a real thing. So it's like, do I keep this person around?
Mm-hmm.
They're not really doing much, but I want to help them. But do they want to help themselves? But
Right.
then I need to help myself and I need to grow. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, checking all of that and having open conversations because we're at this age, where we need to communicate thoroughly, as millennials also. Like we need to talk to our friends or, just partners or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't an intervention, but like what's going on? Like
Mhm.
And this is impacting me because we're connected. So I need to make sure that I'm good, you're good, we're all good.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I agree. Like friendships and relationships, I think that's one of the biggest aspects of growing, right? Because you need support. Like you need support. I could not quit my job without my friend support or like in or people who encourage me, not necessarily encourage me to quit my job, but encourage me to follow my dreams and my goals. And those are the type of friends and people that you need if you're trying to achieve something. You know, you
Yeah.
need people who support you in your corner. And what you don't need is people who doubt you and question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's men who still support their homeboys that have been trying to rap since they were 15. You're 30 and go for it. Keep on going. If you think you're gonna make it, I don't doubt. I don't have any. I don't. You know, I don't play anybody's dreams.
No.
Definitely keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up because of age. Don't give up at all. But if your friends can't support you and you're doing something that's like, simple, basic, you're growing, then you know that those are relationships that you gotta get rid of. You have to put to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a part. Letting go is also a part of growth. Treating your
Yep.
environment. Hmm.
It's like if you believe in yourself, that I believe in you, who am I to say you can't do what you believe you can do? Like, it's all about the belief and knowing, like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
You're with me or you're not.
Hmm.
At the end of the day.
True.
Um,
Exactly. Prune them. Get rid of them.
let's check out the comments. Let's see. Amen.
That said accountability.
Yes, accountability for sure.
Accountability can be challenging, with friends. And I won't lie, accountability is something I definitely still struggle with if any of my best friends are in here. Like I'm
I
accountable.
don't see them.
I already know in my mind what I'm gonna do. But accountability is important. I think one thing I like is I learned in grad school is challenge and support, right? So with our students, we want them to grow. We want to encourage growth, but we also want to challenge them. And we can't just give them the answers that they want, but we have to say, well, not say, well, but we have to, I guess, push them into the uncomfortable. And in that uncomfortable area, that's where they are able to learn and change. So I think
Yeah.
challenge support, it doesn't have to just work with college students. Challenge and support can work with your friends, your family. Not always giving everyone what they want, challenging them, but then support through that challenging process. So I don't know if I explained that well, but it's just something that I learned that I think can work on many different relationships.
Yeah, I agree because even like, for example, like with plants, like plants can be challenging because they're living organisms. They're like us. So they do need care. And if you're not able to kind of figure out what they need, they may end up, dying or just not flourishing to the plant that they could have been. Um, but a lot of times people will reach out to me directly, like, oh, I need this, I need that for my plant. And with Melanin Planted, it's all about learning your plant and figuring out, because I can look up the answer, I can give you the answers, but that's not the journey, that's not like the whole experience. Like you
Mhm.
want to learn this plant, figure out what it needs, figure out your environment, how it's doing in your specific environment, because even if I gave you the answer, it may not even work because
Mhm.
I don't know the humidity in your apartment or house or
Yeah.
but it's all about figuring out for yourself and again challenging yourself, being accountable, because this is something that you want to grow. So you're going to need to do the research and figure things out. If you need a little bit of assistance, that's fine, but we all have to challenge ourselves and make sure that we're growing and learning every day. I say that I'm a lifelong learner. I
Absolutely.
never stop learning.
Hmm.
We don't know everything at all. The
No.
experts aren't even experts. So
that I'm so like we're talking about like challenge and accountability because I think about in this area of growth, right? And speaking for myself, accountability in doing the things that I need to do to nurture my environment is has also been kind of a struggle. You know, accountability with, am I eating the foods that feel good for my body? Am I even
Mm-hmm.
moving my body today, you know, to make sure I'm getting some movement? Am I taking time for deep breaths? Like all of those things um, that I need to be held accountable on. And knowing that accountability is so important for growth, because if I'm not accountable, am I really going to grow? If I'm like, I could do this today, you know, it doesn't matter. Nobody will know. I know, you know, and my results will know, or my delayed success will know that I have not made
Right.
the decisions that I needed to make in this moment to, you know, manifest or bring whatever it is that I'm trying to bring towards me.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, accountability can be tough. Even like I know some people have accountability partners. I've never really had like a designated person. Um, that could be a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Um,
We use
but yeah,
accountabilities.
it's a daily challenge because I'll be like,
Mhm.
yeah, today I'm gonna eat like vegetables all day or fruit all day, and no,
No.
that's not what I'm doing. I'm lying to myself. Okay, but so think about the last time you made a difficult decision. How did you stay rooted in your decisions?
In my decisions. So the last time I made a difficult decision was, you know, resigning from my full time job with no plan. And how did I stay rooted in that decision? I think for me, because I'm still staying rooted in it. So for me, staying rooted in this decision to leave full time work is just solely based on I need to be spending 40 hours a week on something that I love. And plain and simple, I didn't love my, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know, I'm never going to get what I want by staying in a place where I don't want to be. That's just it's counterproductive. So I resigned and using this time off to try to come up with a plan for what's next, but also making sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do to nurture myself in the meantime. So, you know, am I being mindful of my feelings, my thoughts, and the energy that's out there? So that's how I think that's how I stay rooted in that decision by knowing that basically that great, you know, what's me is on the other side of that,
Mm,
you know, and I'm hopeful and working towards that and hoping that that will happen for me the way that it's supposed to. So yeah, I'm not really too worried. And I think that
yeah,
too, you know, sometimes I can get a little worried about finances, but for the most part, I can tell that already I feel so much lighter not having to worry about the day to days of a job. Is my email going to be, you know, looking, you know, am I going to have to respond to 40 emails when I wake up in the morning? Just things like that that I do not have to worry about anymore. And literally felt like a weight just came off of my on my last day. So
yeah,
I stay rooted in decisions by knowing that those decisions will serve my highest good and the good of everyone that, you know, everyone that's involved. Hmm.
yeah.
How about yourself? How do
I
you
like that. Um, lately I feel like I made a lot of difficult decisions. Like even with okay, so this is a little personal. With phone calls, y'all. So a lot of people call me throughout the day. I don't answer the phone, and it's not like I'm ignoring people per se. It's more so I'm planning my time, and my time is allotted for certain, lengths of time. My day is structured, so I don't talk on the phone. And if I'm talking on the phone with someone, it's not that long throughout the day because I have a set schedule at this point. I have a lot of things that I need to get done. Um, and it's a little sad because I used to love talking on the phone. Like I would talk on the phone for hours with people. But then I think back like hours, really it wasn't it just wasn't beneficial. It put me further away from my goals. So I have to structure this time out, you know? So
Mhm.
as far as staying rooted in that decision with not picking up the phone every time someone calls, or not being on social media unless it's related to some kind of productive, like something for my business or
Mhm.
like another business or something.
Yeah.
Um, I just know that with this structure for the time being, it's going to help me in the long run. Not
Mhm.
saying that I'm never going to answer my phone ever again, but I
Right.
just can't sit and talk on the phone for long periods of time anymore because I'm the one doing everything. So
Hmm.
I can't just, you know, I don't want to say waste time, or I don't want to sound like harsh or anything like that, but
I mean,
time is
I mean,
valuable. You'll never get it back.
I was like, time is money for real though, and you're using your time though. Like everything's not about money, of course not. But the time that you're taking, not talking on the phone or spending with other people, you're doing towards your business or your growth. You know what I mean? So if you're taking that time away from what you're trying to grow and spending it on other people, you're missing opportunities, and not saying you're abandoning those relationships, but you're missing potential opportunities for growth for yourself. So I
Yeah.
I respect it. Time is valuable.
Yeah. I think overall as a collective, we need to reevaluate how we're spending our time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, Bad just said that.
oh, um, but yeah, overall, I'm not worried. I've had small wins based on the decisions I've made lately. And I'll share those wins when the time comes. But it's just a sign that I'm on the right path.
Hmm.
Everything's aligned. I'm doing what I need to do. Um, at the end of the day, these small sacrifices or big sacrifices are going to be um, what they need to be for the future for me. And overall, like I think about like generational wealth and my legacy and future children and all that. Like these sacrifices now are for them.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry guys. All right. So does anyone have any input before we start to wrap up this session? Let's see if we miss any comments.
I responded back in the chat, but they asked how hard was my last 2 weeks of work.
Oh,
And it was hard. It felt like it was the longest 2 weeks of my life. And I I mean you can look me up on LinkedIn and see what I do. So basically I did admissions and recruiting. So I would interview often as a part of my role. And my last week I did like 20 something interviews of candidates a week. And that's a long time. Because like you can interview about an hour. So it was a lot of work that like
yeah.
so I definitely earned my money's worth that last.
um, let's see. Okay, I think that was all of the questions and comments. Okay, so to wrap this up, Misha, you're a mindfulness instructor. Um, you live and breathe mindfulness. Do you have any strategies to share with those, the audience, myself, who may be stagnant for the time being?
For sure, yeah. So I just posted a reel the other day. 3 suggestions or tips you can use to start being mindful right now. And they were awareness of breath, awareness of body, and awareness of things. And when I say each of those, starting with your awareness of your breath, taking time to just take deep breaths throughout the day or connect with your breath. Everywhere you go, you take your breath with. So, how can you really learn to connect with it and control it so that your breathing is calm and centered, and you're reducing anxiety, stress, and all of those come along with, not having control over your breath. And then awareness of your feelings, like how do you feel? Not masking how you feel, really feeling them in
Right.
the moment. When you're upset, when you're happy, when you're sad, allowing yourself to feel those things. And take awareness of how your body feels at the same time. How's your breathing? That's all of those. And what was the last one? Awareness of your body. And for this one, I talked about like having tension or discomfort, not necessarily chronic pain, but if you have some tension or discomfort in certain areas of the body, how can you breathe into those areas? How can you use your breath and awareness to breathe into those areas and loosen up that tension and just loosen up some of that stress? So, breathing, feeling, and connecting with your body are really ways you can be mindful right now, anytime, from wherever you are. So to
Mhm.
close us out, I want to invite you all, if you want to take some deep breaths with me, and we are going to recite affirmations that you can take with you into the rest of your night, your week, your day, your month, however you want to use these. You can incorporate them in daily practice. But Dorana, did you have anything before we do the affirmation?
Um, thank you all for coming. We'll post probably, this is probably gonna be a once a month kind of thing. So April sometime we'll do the part 3. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna post some more content related to more so mindfulness and meditation and plants and everything. So thank you all for attending. Make sure you follow Pieces of Niche for all the mindfulness and
Yeah.
meditation and tips and everything. And I'm relaunching my plant shop beginning of April also with some new plants. If you have any ideas or any plant products, plants, or anything else that you want to see on the shop, feel free to DM me or comment on my last post, and I'll look at your suggestions.
Okay, so let's get ready to breathe together. Oh, here we go. All right. So if you are making sure you're not driving, please don't be driving. At home, sitting down, you can sit down or you can lay down any way you feel comfortable. But we're going to take 3 deep breaths. So I'll count them. Just, one, breathe out, two, breathe in, out, three, breathe in, out. And then I'll say the affirmation and I'll give you time to recite it yourself out loud or in your head. And then I'll move on to the next one. Okay. So deep breath number 1. Number 2. Last deep breath. I am nourished by the energy of the earth. I invite healthy and helpful connections into my life. I stand firm in my decisions that support my highest good and the highest good of everyone involved. Okay, so those were the 3 affirmations. So I hope those are useful to you. Take them with you, use them throughout your day, in the morning, make them a part of your routine. Um, yeah, and thank you so much for allowing us to share our experiences and our time with you all. Follow me, Pieces of Meat, on Instagram.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. See you, girl.